Hello, everybody. We are live. Welcome to our halfway through 2020, the disaster year check-in. We wanted to have a little bit of a halfway through check-in, and also let's call this a party type of thing, because it's going to be chill. It's going to be laid back. We realize there has literally been a plague happening, and most likely our check-in will be like, what have we not got done this year so far? So we are going to be really easy on ourselves. And if you bring alcohol to this check-in particularly, that's okay, as long as you're the legal person. We get it. We get it. So I wanted to, we do have like a little bit of a schedule planned. I have a little bit of a schedule planned out because I am crazy about goal planning. I'm very excited for this. So if you are watching and you want to like really get into this and start planning the second half year 2020/2021, I definitely suggest like having something to take notes with, because we will be going through like the process of goal setting and breaking it down, not into just like a random vague goal, but also like actionable steps you can take. And then we'll also talk a little bit about SMART goals, which are, I have written this down. Now I can't. Oh, here we go. Specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-bound SMART goals.
Calling this a party, but I'm pretty sure she snuck a workshop on us.
Tricks. It's still a party, I swear. Isn't this really fun? I thought this was really fun. So I figured we will start with an actual check-in to see how everyone is like holding on to their sanity through the half of the first half of 2020, and kind of like, what were your goals and how are you feeling now? So anyone can dive in.
I am feeling adequate about I don't really feel like I have much direction, but I'm definitely moving places. Like, I know at the beginning of the year, I wanted to finish up revisions on my book and I wanted to start querying, and I did that. And I don't distinctly remember, but I'm pretty sure I said I wanted to draft another book, because that's a goal I set every year. And I haven't done that yet, but I have written 25,000 words of a new book. So it's kind of, things have stalled out by now a little bit, but I've done some things.
I honestly don't remember what goals I set. I tried to right before we started, go back and check, but no idea. 2020 got stressful for me around December 23rd of 2019. So the first, honestly, through April, we're just no idea. It's all a blur. And I'm just starting to feel like a person again. So I'm going to set some new goals and just not worry about any of that.
Totally fair. That's why we're here.
Yeah. I feel like my mental health is one of those seismographs for earthquakes. Like, it's just all over the place. I'm pretty sure the goals that I set earlier this year were mostly to revamp and reinvigorate this one manuscript. And I sort of did that, which is surprising. But at all our write-ins, I actually got some words in and stuff. So I like to write a little more the rest of the year, but it's mostly just been school-related stuff. Because now I'm taking all the the fourth-year English classes, and there's a lot of essays happening. So that's mostly what I've been working on.
I gave birth last month, so that goal.
And so that's a pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah. And I'm graduating at the end of this month. So going into this year, I didn't set really ambitious goals, because I just knew that there was just going to be a lot going on. And I had no goals for the second half of the year, because I was like, I don't know, I'm going to have a baby. But I did, my kind of main goal for the first 6 months before the baby came was that I just wanted to finish the draft I was working on and do a round of revisions. And I didn't actually do the round of revisions, but I finished the draft. So I'm okay with that. So yes, I'm pretty happy with what I got done, considering everything else that was going on. So.
I achieved my number one goal, which was to get Emma's book.
There you go.
Her goal she sent me an email called "Ugh, fine."
I couldn't write it last week.
I was the same as Kelly. I could not remember what even was the first half of 2020, because it feels like it has been years. So I actually had to, like, that's one thing I'm really happy about, having kept writing journals all through like the past few years. So I actually just pulled one off my shelf and went and found January 2020. I was such a baby. I was so excited and cheerful and just like pumped about how awesome 2020 was going to be, which is kind of a little bit painful to read now. I'm not going to lie.
I was so optimistic at the beginning of this.
Yes. You're just like, oh, you sweet, innocent child. No.
I was like, I'm going to have a kid. I'm going to graduate. I'm going to get a new job. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
To be fair, you're doing 2 out of those 3 things for sure.
Yeah, yeah, you are. So I was also gearing up to go on tour. So I was really, really excited about that. And I was like kind of planning the year as being like, it's going to be tour. And then I'm going to be like doing all these other events for the year. And then I'm going to be doing all this stuff about Witches of Action Ruin promotion. And then, of course, all of that tanked horribly because of COVID happening, like literally as I was in the middle of the tour. And I think after that, I kind of had the initial gut reaction of being like, okay, I have to write something else because this book is going to tank because of the literal plague. So my, like, after all that happened, my goal was then to finish the Druid book, or to start the Druid book draft, was what I wrote to myself. And so I did start that, although I didn't get as far with it at the time as I intended to. So that leads into like kind of the next thing, which was what's a goal you want to set for the second half of this year. And mine is to finish the Druid book, which is what it was in the first half of the year. Does anyone else have any idea what they want to, maybe like a few small goals or one kind of big goal? Anybody?
That's led to believe I wouldn't have to figure out the rest of my year until the end of the year.
I keep you on your toes. You can save it to the end of the chat if you want. Big sigh.
Try to come up with things on the fly.
I do want to do a round of revisions in the next few months. Also, just because I've been drafting the same book for so long, like I have a lot of ideas I'm excited about that I haven't been able to really like spend any time on. So I'd like to at least like flesh out one of them and maybe make an outline for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd like to stitch some of my ideas together because I don't even know what it is. Recently, I've had a big inspiration burst where I'm like, oh, this is an idea. Oh, this is a cool idea. And then I have to go back to some of my old notes. And I'm one of those people that has the idea. And I'm like, that's cool. I put it over there and like just ignore it and then forget about it. And then I'm like, what's the story? I don't know. So maybe I should like go back and be like, maybe I can actually make one of these a book or even work it into the current one that I'm trying to write. So I think that would be nice to have like a big plotting session sometime over the next couple of months or weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out my life a little bit. This year, I started a full-time job, which I've never had a job that was like 40 hours a week before. And so that was a very interesting, it was like a really good learning experience of like, oh no, I really like this. I can do this. This is fun. However, I'm working a full-time job and a part-time job. And so the whole year has been very like, writing feels very backburnered in a lot. Like it feels like I'm just like dragging the creativity out at the end of the day after everything else is done. And so I'm trying to kind of figure out what I need to change leading up to 21 so that I'm only doing one full-time job so that I don't have to feel this constant. Because when you work from home, it's just this always like, oh, well, there's always more work I could be doing. I'm constantly not doing enough for both of the jobs. And so I'm trying to find ways to like, well, what do I want to do? What can I do from here so that I'm able to feel less drained by the time I'm actually able to have time to write?
Makes a lot of sense.
Totally.
I don't even really know what my writing goals are going to be for the rest of the year yet. I'm kind of hoping by the end of this chat, I'll have figured that out. Probably similar to Rachel, if like I'd really like to have a big plotting session and really know my next story before I jump into it, because it's been a long time since I've done that and writing feels harder lately. So I want like a really clear path, but
Yeah, like I feel like I've written so many essays that I'm like, I don't know how to plot a story anymore. What is like for writing for fun? What's that? Yeah. But I recently got into D&D a little bit more, and so now I semi-regularly play with people. And so after kind of working with them for a couple months now, and like learning how this new DM tells a story, and then listening to other people write about their own characters and their characters' backstory, I think now will be kind of fun to be like, hey, can I bounce some ideas off you? And maybe I was like, oh, maybe have some people here that'll help me with that, which I think would be kind of nice to have a new perspective on it.
Mhm.
Definitely.
I would like to also finish a draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my main goal. Finish something.
Yeah, something new, something fun.
Mm-hmm. Definitely not going to pressure Emma about second half of 2020 goals. Surviving, existing.
Somehow going back to work. Wow,
Yes.
baby.
Mm-hmm.
Fun.
We have a few people sharing their second half goals or the goals in general in the comments. Definitely love to see that. We can go through and read out a few of them. Let's see. So Valerie is going to make it the goal for the rest of the year to put together a poetry chapter book. That's very cool.
Nice.
And Griswold wants to finish her story, and revise it so I can start querying with this novel instead of telling myself not yet.
Big mood. The biggest mood.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people's goal is to finish drafting. So Vanessa says her goal is to finally finish the first draft of the fantasy novel they've been writing. So lots of good goals here. Yeah, keep it up, guys. Let us know. I mean, like, I really like hearing other people's goals because I find it really inspiring, and often will end up writing that type of thing down in my passion planner and be like, oh, this is now my goal. Yoink. So that happens a lot. So another thing I want to do this year and probably more into 2021 is like collab work. Like it's usually with a writers group. I love to do it with the Word Nerds as like the larger group of us. But like either brainstorming just in general, like individual projects, or like we had a little of a bit of a moment where we were brainstorming like maybe a larger creative project. And I don't know, I really find not only do I enjoy that, but it also gets like my creativity really flowing. And so I'd like to experience that more in the coming months and then next year.
Collab work is the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would love to do with a co-writer at some point in the next few years. Megan knows all about how exciting that is.
Yeah, that's actually one of my goals. I didn't bring it up because the goal is to be done like tonight, but Kyra and I are finishing up revisions so that we can fling it out to beta readers and then start drafting something new, which we haven't gotten to do in like 4 years.
Wow.
That's exciting. Is this just like a practice run for you guys? Or are you planning on eventually querying something, or don't know?
Probably gonna query it. We'll see. Who knows? It's like an extra layer of complication when we're both unagented writers at this point. So, but we do want it to be in the world, whether it's traditionally or independently published. It'll be out there at some point.
I feel like you guys could like query together though. Does that not how it works though? Okay. I don't know how this works.
But then it's also just the complication of like we both also have individual projects that we're trying to hopefully sell at some point. So it's like a fun, weird, complicated thing since we don't write very similar things normally.
Fair,
So we can't be like, do you want to rep both of us and our joint work?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the SMART goals that I mentioned before, and why it's important to actually make SMART goals instead of just, writing down anything you can think of. Because this is what I initially did. Like, I don't know if everyone here is familiar with the Passion Planner. Where is it? I absolutely love the Passion Planner. Megan's got hers already. But there's this thing in the start where it's like your passion roadmap. I don't know how well you can see this. But it's like got a little thing at the top and it says your passion roadmap, a step-by-step guide to mapping out your goals. And if you could be or do anything or have anything, what would it be? And while I love the idea of this, it is not how you set your SMART goals. Because like, I love writing this stuff down. I love writing down like go on a national tour, sell more books than J.K. Rowling. I would love those things. But that's not a SMART goal because there are no concrete steps I can take to guarantee that I will get there. But if I wanted to do, hey, I'm going to try to write 2 books per year with the goal of becoming prolific enough that I can then sell at least 1 book per year, or 3 books per year if I'm really crazy, and be really prolific and try to get as many titles on the shelves. Or I can, and I do actually have actionable steps for something like I want to hit the New York Times list someday. That's not specifically a SMART goal, but there are small steps that are actually actionable I can take to that, like trying to improve my craft. And there are small steps I can take to improve my craft, like Megan and I signed up for Maggie Stiefvater's seminar, which was extremely valuable, just like hours and hours and hours of writing craft, somebody teaching you writing craft. So that was one of the SMART goals I set in order to eventually reach my much bigger goal. It's technically more of a dream because there's nothing that I can do to actually specifically hit that dream.
Side note on the Maggie Stiefvater thing really quick. The price just went way down on that. It went from like 100 to 50. So if you're interested in that, check out Maggie Stiefvater's Instagram bio link and it'll take you to it.
Yeah, it's well worth it. I could not believe when I clicked on it how many hours of class there are.
Content.
Huge. Yeah. For the price, it's absolutely worth. It's like having a mentor that you can watch all her videos and she teaches you how to write, like honestly. So yeah, specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time bound. So I really like the last one being time bound. So all of my goals are larger, and then all of the steps beneath, the actionable steps I can take, are time bound, meaning I can write them down in a schedule. And I want this one thing finished by the end of week 1. I want this other thing finished by the end of week 2. And that helps to keep myself accountable. So I figured if we want to, it's totally up to you guys if you want to do like more of a workshop style thing where we take one of our goals and we break it down to actionable steps, or if you just want to throw out like general ideas of what could be a step for your actionable goal. Totally up to you guys. I said this is not a workshop. Okay, maybe I lied a little bit.
Getting work done.
My favorite kind of party.
So for my example of an actionable step I can take to finish my draft for the Druid book this end of the year is I want to try to write 2,000 words a day. So that's like on the higher side for me. And I have to like make sure that I can take smaller steps so that I can actually get that word count. So like some of my smaller steps have been eliminate all social media distractions, because I'm finding that keeps me from my word count. I've also been joining some word sprints. I've also been setting timers. So those are my small actionable steps I'm taking to reach my bigger goal for the day. And my bigger goal for the day are the small actionable steps I'm taking towards my bigger goal, which is finish the Druid book, if that makes sense for people. So I figure, take a few minutes to write down our...
Can someone throw Maggie Stiefvater's Instagram link in the thing? I'm not on my normal computer. Nothing is coming up the way I want it to. No, in the group chat, someone was asking who we were talking about, so I'm not sure if it was the Maggie Stiefvater thing or not.
Yeah,
so might as well put it in
there. Yeah, I'll grab that link. Are we like quietly doing goals, or are we like
like workshop style, or
I just figure well, I'm talking through them. You guys can write down for sure. And again, you don't have to write it down if you don't want to. This is definitely more casual. And again, if you guys are watching, thank you for joining us. Please share any goals you have if you're comfortable with sharing in the comments below. We will be reading through them. And yeah, share your SMART goals that you're taking concrete steps to get to your larger goals. Or if you have any questions, please ask us that too. We're always happy to attempt to answer them.
One of the things I'm trying to figure out is I've been a little like, I stalled out a little bit on the plotting of my newest draft that I've been working on. And it's felt a little like, I don't know that I let it sit long enough before I started. Like, I don't know if I have enough of the pieces yet. And then simultaneously, I figured out the piece on a draft that I wrote last year, where it was like, oh, if I brought in this, then I could like finish that draft and I would have a finished draft. And so I think my biggest first step is going to be to like actually figure out, okay, what's going on? Are you just stuck, or do you need to wait longer? And so is this other draft the thing that you should focus on for your rest of the year project? And so the thing, I should probably break that down into things.
One of the things I've found for kind of like conquering my goals, or like my small actionable steps, has been finding out what's preventing me from doing them. Like the social media thing has always been a huge issue for me, for attaining my like word count. And then like, I don't know, getting better at writing, like actually improving my craft. Reading, that is one of my like smaller goals, but I'm realizing like how badly I've been doing at like keeping up with that. So I'm trying to do at least an hour a day now of reading. That's one of my like second half 2020 goals, because I feel like that's a huge component for not sucking at writing.
Yeah. It's especially at the beginning of this year, I think, just because of, you know, worldwide panic and whatever, just like going into that weird headspace of like nothing is real anymore, you know, it's whatever. I definitely gave up a lot of stuff, and even just I say like just the last couple of weeks of like trying to get myself back into a new routine and like not put so much pressure on myself to start 70 new things because I should be, or I can, or like, okay, you've spent 3 weeks doing nothing, so now you have to do everything all at once. And it's like writing's kind of on the back burner at the moment, but I'm like slowly incorporating it back in, just like incorporating like working out back in, or like hanging out with friends, like doing more virtual chats. It's just because for so long I was like, I can't do anything ever, and I'm just gonna do nothing. And now I'm like, all right, I'm feeling like motivation again to actually do things.
Yeah.
So even I think a couple weeks ago we had a write-in, and just like working on that again, I was like, ooh, all right, yeah, we're doing it. This is fun.
Yeah, the first half of. Sorry, go ahead, Emma.
I see the guilty part of my brain is like, how many hours have you spent playing Animal Crossing that you could have been writing?
Right.
That is self-care.
It is, truly. Well, like I still work from home now, but I hold my office hours, but I work from home, so technically I'm, you know, in the office until 4. But then it still feels so weird to be like, I'm just gonna relax in my home where I have been for the entire day. Like, so then, yeah, it's just very weird.
Yeah, when you're used to an office, working from home is really weird.
Yeah.
Working from home is weird all the time. It doesn't get better when you're used.
I found a really interesting, like I feel silly admitting this, but I've been watching those like plan with me videos, hence my word nerd video, my very chaotic, trashy word nerd video this week.
It was awesome.
It was so wobbly. I was like, I don't know how to film on my cell phone anymore, or else we're doing this anyways. But there was a girl I was watching who had actually blocked off an hour in her passion planner that said Animal Crossing. And I was like, oh, that feels weird, because you're like, you literally have blocked off an hour of your schedule. But also at the same time, it's kind of smart, because when you hit that hour, you're like, okay, I've done what I've scheduled. Well, theoretically, and moving on, right? So I was kind of like, oh, like, what if I actually blocked in an hour of television at the end of the night, and then once it was done, you know? I don't know.
I feel that where like oh, I know what I need to do if I want to write more. Okay, well, I need to block off some time, and maybe I'll tell myself I'll write 200 words every single day and do whatever. But it's just like that motivation isn't there.
Mhm.
And now I'm like, I feel motivation again, slowly coming back. So let's try that out.
Yeah. And then, like, I'm not a huge, like, well, you have to write every day to be a writer kind of person. And so, like, I do block off time. For me, the work-life balance is really important. And so, like, once I'm finished working, I'll eat dinner. And then if I have any work to wrap up afterwards, I do that. But then after like 9 p.m., like, that is me time. I do whatever I want to do. If I feel inspired to write, I can write. But when you work a lot and when you have small children, like, sometimes you're just tired, and it's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with playing video games instead of being productive. There's this myth that, like, well, if you're not doing something productive every hour of every day, then you're not trying hard enough. And that's really not helpful to actually being productive.
It's so funny because I was literally talking about this with my therapist the other day. Like, definitely recommend therapy if anyone's wondering. But he was like, I was like, I cannot just do nothing while I eat. If I have lunch, if I have breakfast, I have to be doing something, like looking over plot notes or like rereading my manuscript or reading a book. I can't be doing nothing. And he said, well, why not? Do you feel that you don't deserve to just sit there and eat? Like, you're taking care of your body. Why do you feel like you have to be doing something? And I said, well, I feel guilty. I feel like I should be doing something every hour, every minute of every day. And like, that's kind of a toxic way of thinking. Like, that's stressful. But I definitely am guilty of that as well.
I think it was almost like the pressure of feeling like I had to be productive is what kept me from doing it, because I was like, well,
overwhelming.
I need to be productive. And then it was like, and then I just kind of shut down. So now I'm like, I want to do it for fun.
Anxiety spiral.
Doing things for fun. I can do that. Like,
I'm allowed?
Yeah, right. What?
Yeah, I know for me, for kind of like actionable steps for the rest of this year, like, I know that I'm definitely not going to have time every single day to like meet some daily goal, like, because just some days are total chaos and my baby wants to be held all day and I'm not going to get anything done, So like for me, like, I want to just kind of set like a weekly goal, like every week spend like 3 hours on writing wherever I can get it in during that week. Maybe it's on the weekend, maybe it's in the evenings, maybe it's during a nap, but yeah.
That's a good idea. Actually, that's something I've started doing, because I used to make these big, long to-do lists, and I would do it every day, and they would stress me out because I'd be like, I'm not getting all of this done. There's still too many things left. It's already 3 p.m. And so I've actually had someone suggest this, and I started switching over to, this is a weekly to-do list. So if I get 2 things done on this to-do list, hey, I'm doing pretty good. It's only Tuesday. So that actually works for me much better.
Me too.
Yeah, it's far less stressful.
Yeah, I actually do a daily evaluation. That's probably really loud on my mic. So I have like the passion planner as well. And it'll be like, oh, what's your weekly focus? And I'll be like, okay, well, this week I want to mostly focus on meeting all my work hours or whatever. And then every day for the first like 15 minutes of the day, I look at like, okay, well, how am I feeling mentally? What time did I get up? What can I feasibly do in this day that will help me reach my bigger goals that I've set for the year or the week or the month or whatever? And for me, that has been working. It seems like I'm changing like every few months. But for right now, that's what's made it the most easy, because even with the weekly thing, sometimes I'll hit Thursday and I'll be like, well, I didn't do it. So might as well go lay in bed.
That's funny, because that's exactly what I do with I just call them morning pages, and it's literally just a journal. But I do the exact same thing. I'll sit down in the morning with like my tea or whatever, and I'll just write down like, how was yesterday? How am I feeling mentally? How do I feel about today? What am I going to try to accomplish today? Or like, this thing is bothering me. I mean, it's almost like talking to myself, but on paper. I mean, which I guess describes a journal, but it really helps to kind of like figure out what I want to do for the day. And like, the other thing I've been doing that's really been working is like time blocks. So instead of doing like, I would have this bad habit originally, all of last year, actually, where I would just do, like I said, the giant to-do list and nothing else. And then I would just stress about the to-do list for the whole day. So now instead, I just do like chunks of the day, and I have a 4-block system. So in the morning is like, I'm doing these 3 things, and then so on and so forth. And there's like 2 or 3 things per block, no more than that. And it's just like, generally within these 3 to 4 hours, this is what I'm going to try to get done. And it kind of like almost keeps me like in line, if that makes sense. So rather than like what I used to do is just get like overwhelmed, ignore the list, and do one project all day. And then at the end of the day, I'd be like, oh crap, I haven't got anything done except this one thing. So time blocking has been really...
It's funny. I think at the beginning of the year, when I thought I was going to have like these 2 stress-free months to just kind of do whatever, I was playing with thinking myself kind of like a high school schedule again with time blocking kind of thing, where I had like 2 periods in the morning, lunch, 2 periods in the evening, and like some of it was like if I was working on learning Adobe stuff, that was going to be Tuesday and Thursday, whereas coding stuff was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I had kind of classes almost, but it was time.
I like that.
I like that structure. Especially when I have a bunch of different things I want to be able to jump through. But
see, I wish I could do that, because I want to be the type of writer that can work on 2 projects at once, but I just am not. And I've tried so hard. Like I tried to do the thing where I'm like, I work on project A Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and project B Thursday, Friday, but I cannot make that like jump into one project one day and the other the next. I just can't keep the headspace.
I was also working on like 2 different careers, so it was
I don't know how you guys do that. Like how
A lot of angst.
But yeah, I just cannot shift gears, especially if they're radically different projects, and they usually are. But like that's also, I think, something that 2020 has been good for, and just like teaching myself that and finally accepting that I will get more done if I just work more on one project, and then I can move on to the next if I, get there.
I mean, if you divide your time, whether you divide your time and take 2 months or just write 1 each month, you still end up with 2 books.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, exactly. So we had Emma share like one of the little actionable steps she's going to take. Has anyone else come up with kind of a general idea of like something small they might do to get towards a bigger goal?
So mine isn't a writing goal at all, but when I was looking at my notebook, it's like, it's the main one I have actually kind of blocked out. I'm like making a goal/to-do kind of website app, whatever, that I have a deadline for the end of the year, and I have steps of like, I want to share it with you guys by some point next month, so that like you guys can tell me what's wrong with it kind of thing. So I have steps broken down for that. It's just harder to do with writing, which is more, there's a less clear beginning, middle, and end for when this is done. So it was a little easier with something that had like this is what I need to call it finished.
Nice.
I'm thinking to choose which draft I'm going to finish. Since I have 2 partially finished drafts, I need to have a plotting party, like Rachel was talking about. Where I need to sit down and make not a full synopsis, but like a really bare bones one for each. That way I can see like, what do I actually know about both of these? And then I can gauge, am I just wanting to switch because I'm bored? Or is it like, no, I really need to do this one versus that one or whatever. So
well, one of my goals is to collaborate more. So invite me to your plotting party.
Yeah, plotting party.
plotting party.
I think one of my goals, just kind of in general, but also this encompasses writing, is to take advantage of my evenings more, because I feel like I did this especially when I was actually like transiting to my job and then coming home and whatever. But like once I would be home for the evening, it would just be like watching YouTube videos for like 4 hours, because I was just like, I don't want to do anything, blah. But then in those months or weeks where I felt like, oh, I'm gonna work on a project this evening, like for example, like I do embroidery and like cross stitch, I was like, oh, let's just like put on a podcast and like embroider a little bit, where it was like, wow, I really don't miss those hours of TV or movies or YouTube that I was watching. I don't miss them, but I'm doing something else that I also enjoy. And so like that kind of thing of like, oh, I can do some writing this evening and not click around on Pinterest for 3 hours.
Yeah, I love that idea. I've actually been doing something similar. Like with actually putting my TV time, because I like my TV time. I'm not giving up my TV time, but I've also been putting it towards like creativity and like I generally all TV is story, but at the same time, I've been taking one character from one show in particular and kind of like noting their mannerisms and the way they speak and the way they hold themselves. And I'm like, I really want to channel this like vibe for one of my characters. So clearly like not lifting dialogue like word for word or anything, but like just studying the mannerisms and like the way they deal with other characters, that type of thing. So I can get that kind of like flavor. It's like this kind of like cheeky, snarky type of character. And I want to like, you know, have a little bit of that, So yeah, I like that idea of like, it's still fun, but it's like, I'm doing something too, you know? We have quite a few votes for the plotting party here in the comments. Vanessa asked, maybe a live stream could be a planning party. That would be really fun, but we'd have to find somebody who would be okay with their plotting session being online.
Yeah. We can't give you all our good ideas. No, you have to work for them yourself.
I could give you mine. There'd be nothing.
Yeah, I'm always giving my ideas.
You'd be like, no one hearing isn't going well. Oh no.
I do love that idea too, though. Like, I'm really drawn to the idea of, I think it was like the self-publishing podcast that did that had like, they had at one point, maybe it was just for their subscribers or something, but they had like podcasted it or something, like, or made a video of their plotting process for like several of them for one of the books they ended up writing and self-publishing. I don't know. I've always really loved that idea because I pretty much like am that person who's just like, just talk to me constantly about your plotting process because I want to know. I find it fascinating. So that'd be kind of cool. And Griswold says, the goal is to get to bed earlier, late night reader, so I can get some writing in before breakfast. Yes, I've had a goal to go to bed earlier for the entire first half of 2020, and it still has not happened. Okay, so here is the maybe more fun part, maybe more stressful. I don't know. So 2021. Let's think about that. Let's try to like not take any of the, excuse my French, shittiness of 2020 into 2021, like pretending that everything's cool in January. Your mental health is great. Everything's going fantastically.
You'd be really optimistic.
Yeah.
With all of that going on, what would be like, this is the one thing I want to try to get done.
I want to see the word nerds in person.
God, yes. That would be amazing.
I know our trip for this year just to see each other, unfortunately, is not going to happen. So maybe like next November or something. I don't know. That'd be real cool.
Yeah, like for this goal, I want to be optimistic, like everything is fine, but also like it doesn't need to be like a hard and fast goal where you're like, I'm taking these steps to get here and this is definitely happening in 2021. It'd be like, this is like my general goal, which would be really nice to do, providing the world is not crap.
Still not on fire.
Still not on fire. Yeah. Yeah, I love the goal of seeing the word nerds in person. Like, that would be so nice.
So I want to write our anthology.
Yeah, we're gonna get together for a weekend, write our anthology.
Can we just get an Airbnb and like make up our own writing room in the dining room and write our anthology?
Have a big plotting session for the anthology together.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Someone bring a giant whiteboard.
Yes. I vote Megan because I feel like she's the one out of all of us that has giant whiteboards.
It'll be like a TV. It'll be like a TV writer's room, but us playing our anthology in an Airbnb. Yeah, wonderful.
I wonder if we could find one that had like whiteboard paint on the walls.
That is very specific. Excuse me, we need an Airbnb. Can you please paint your walls with whiteboard paint before we get there?
Just let me do it.
Show up with a bucket of paint.
Yeah.
We're making over your living room. You're cool with that, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We'll paint it back when we're done.
That's fine. We're gonna be here a while.
Honestly, we'll get to, actually, I'll wait because we're getting to big, shiny, exciting dream goals. So I will wait, but yeah, I have thoughts on that.
Yeah. I think my practical goal is that one of the things I've been trying to set myself up to do this year and hope to continue is just constantly having a new draft ready so that by the time I hit the end of the querying or submission stage for whatever book it is, that I have another one ready to go really immediately. I've had a lot of stops and starts where it really throws me and it takes months to recover, and I don't want that anymore. Like, I want early first quarter of next year, I want to have another book ready so that if this one doesn't get an agent or doesn't sell, that I have another thing that I can be like, all right, we're doing this. No more stalling on the career just because things don't go the way you want them to go.
God, that hits close to home. I'm very much one of those people. If there's like a bump in the road, I'm like out for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I'm like, I can't do anything. I'm useless.
Yeah. Like, so I have no plan, even though like I know what the plan is, but I'm like, what do I even do from here?
I'm just gonna mope and eat junk food for like 3 months. Like,
I could do that while I'm getting work done.
Oh, how dare you address me so directly.
So I suspect that my quarter 1 2021 goal will be to revise the draft that I finished this year.
Excellent goal.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No,
that's okay.
I think my main goal for by the end of next year is I'd like to be ready to start querying something, whether it's the book I just finished or the one I wrote before that. So one of the things I want to do towards the end of this year, beginning of next year, is kind of look at both books once they've had a round of revisions done and kind of decide which one I want to focus on for next year.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I'd like to plot something new, but also with the one that I'm currently writing, I think I'd like to, at least by let's say 1 year from now, mid-year, have at least a quarter to a half of it done. And I say that I'm aiming very low because I'm finishing up classes now, and then I'm going to be doing a couple, I think 2 or 3 4th level English classes in the fall. So it's going to be real intense. So we're aiming low, but it's doable.
I'm going to be done with school by then. I'm so happy.
I'm so happy for you. It's going to be so great.
I have 3 more weeks in the semester and then I'm done with grad school.
Woo.
Any thoughts, Kelly, or still
I think mostly I just want to, with writing, I want to try something new. So either maybe I query, maybe I write a script of just mixing it up in 2021 and doing something a little different. So.
Are you going to query? I don't know why. Why you said that?
That I don't know. I may not even, if it's a script, maybe I look for script agents. I have no idea, but I'm leaving it open.
I don't know why that triggered something in me where I was like, yes, come to the Oh dear.
You guys make it sound so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I know. Then you can go through 2 agents and get rejected multiple times. And don't you want to experience that? Mine, I think, is actually very similar to Megan's. I want to, because I keep doing the same thing. I keep having a book rejected and going, oh, what now? I have nothing. So I want to attempt to draft and edit 2 books, or I should say have them ready to go on submission. So whether I, mostly finish the Druid book this year and have it ready to go next year, and then I also write something else, or do 2 next year. I want to have something basically to go on sub in 2021 and then a backup as well if that one doesn't sell, because that happens literally all the time. So speaking of traditional publishing woes. So yeah.
We had a goal in the discussion section that I thought was really good. I want to talk about. I'm going to put it on the screen.
Oh, wow.
My goal is to not get
technology
right that I can produce something each day. Is that lame? Help me.
It's not lame.
No, not at all.
You are among friends.
Yes.
I think everyone's been there at some point.
Yeah.
I
And
know
it's
Sometimes in the middle of your writing career.
Yeah.
Often.
Yes. Pretty much with every book, there comes like a point in it where I'm like, I just don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to write. There's no point.
What are words?
I literally wrote myself like a little note in one of my like morning page sessions where like, remember, you go through this every new book where you have like a little panic fit where you're like, what am I doing? How do I write? I've never done this before. Yes, you have. Like, just calm down. I need to be reminded though, because I forget and I panic every single time, every project.
Yeah.
So
One
yeah.
of the things that I like to do for that is that I really like all of the NaNoWriMo events, because I do like to work in like frenzy chunks of time. And so if I'm ever feeling like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, then I look at, okay, well, when is the next NaNoWriMo event? So we're in the middle of a Camp NaNoWriMo right now, but the next one is coming up in November. And so if you're like, I'm not ready to start right now, then look at that November 1st date and be like, that's it. I'm going to be ready. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be ready to start writing it on November 1st. And then you have a community of other people who are also there and also feeling a little nervous, but excited about starting. And I find that that can be really useful when it's like,
That's awesome. That's a really great idea. Also, just having friends, like the Nano community is great for that. And then also, yeah, I know for me, like having the word nerds there when I'm like, what am I even doing? I'm freaking out. Like just having someone to be like, settle down. You're fine. This always happens. You're okay. Yeah, no, great advice to kind of get you out of that like fear zone, essentially.
Yeah, speaking of community, I'm pretty sure Tamara Woods is doing a 10K day today. Like she's live right now. So if you're like, I don't want to wait till November, I want to try now, I will find the link to that and get it to you. I'll put it in the discussion section if you're like, I'm feeling pumped, I want to get started right now.
Yeah, Tamara Woods is a great channel in general if you're looking for like write-ins and writing sprints and yeah, community that does that type of thing. We do that as well, yay. But yeah, I mean, we should just collect a bunch of those channels, and I don't know if we have a resource with all of that in a list, but we should do that at some point to just
all the people who do write-ins.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe we can make it a playlist or something.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So does anyone else want to share anything else about 2021 before we move on to like big, shiny, exciting, ridiculous dreams?
I'm just trying to make it there.
Just get through the next 6 months.
Yeah.
You said Emma wins if she survives. If any of us, we all get there to the beginning of 2021, we did so good. So
yeah, yeah. Honestly, I think one of the reasons too that I'm like reading has to be a huge goal is like A, obviously because of craft, and two, like I want that escape, right? Like it's for some reason the first half of what I know exactly why 2020 I wasn't able to read because I wasn't able to concentrate because I was like constantly glued to Twitter and Facebook and like the news. And so the second half of 2021 or 2020, sorry, I'm like burned out. And I think reading is like a way of kind of like refilling like not only the creative well, but like sanity, mental health, like just, you know, opening up a book and being transported somewhere else is pretty therapeutic. And also one of my little mini goals. I have a couple of little mini goals. So if I don't make my bigger goal, I still want to make my, you know, my little mini ones. And one of them is more reading, less social media, less Twitter specifically, because that's the doom scrolling. As I heard somebody say before, I want to stop doom scrolling.
Yeah. I'm like surprisingly right now into like major sci-fi and dystopian and like plague books. It's I think maybe I'm reading them to like make myself feel better. They're like, oh yeah, there's gonna be an end to this. Like humanity will make it out.
You know what's so funny, Rachel, when you said that, it reminded me because I've been like really trying to keep up with Publishers Marketplace. I am legit seeing plague books.
Oh, well, yeah, right? Like now's the time. If anybody ever wrote a dystopian,
it's so funny though, because some publishers are like, no, keep that away from me. And other publishers are asking for them. Am I lagging?
No.
Oh, weird. I just had a notification. Yeah, because my publisher, who I am currently pitching books to, I had like a plague-ish angle in there, and they were like, "Oh, no, thank you." So I had to like tweak it so it was like not like it was something different.
Adjacent.
Plague adjacent, not exactly plague. Yeah, so I find that very interesting. But yeah, you're right. Like people are watching Contagion and stuff. Like clearly there's a market for it. So Vanessa asks, what do you guys do to refill your mental health cup? That's a great question, especially in this day and age.
So this is a bit of a weird answer because it's adjacent to like the Twitter doom scrolling, but for me in the months this year that were shittiest, TikTok was so good for me. Of just those little bits of content that you never really had to super invest in, but were always a lot of fun and like tend to bounce over different things you're interested in. I don't know why, but it was so good for me, exactly when I needed it.
Yes. Like cat TikTok, crafting TikTok. Oh my gosh.
TikTok.
Yeah,
I love crafting
follow
TikTok.
one of the people I follow is a bookbinder.
Oh,
She
cool.
binds the most amazing things and she uses like traditional old-fashioned bookbinding tools. So it's like leather and like gold embossed covers and like the way that she like cuts the spine and everything. Oh my god.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
People keep
Cooking
telling
TikTok, cooking TikTok.
Yeah.
telling me about witch talk.
Witch talk, yeah.
Witch TikTok,
And book talks lately, yeah.
Yeah. Someday I'll get sucked in, but today is not that day.
She's resisting.
I have books to write. I will never write another book if I get on TikTok.
That's fair. It is a time suck.
So yeah, TikTok, and like I said before, reading helps me. Weirdly enough, if I'm having like I'm very open about having OCD, and one of the only things that helps me is distraction with that. But if I'm having more of like a general anxiety thing, which I also have, yay,
Yay.
weirdly enough, horror movies. That sounds so weird. I know that sounds so weird, but like I'll watch a horror movie and like be tense, and then after it's over, I'm like, well, like it's really chill here. Nobody's stabbing me. There's no monsters. There's no demons. It's cool. It's the same thing with like, it could be so much worse. It's the same thing with like a horror book where I'll like put it down and be like, well, I don't have any of those problems. It's like a weird relief almost. I don't know if this would work for most people. Disclaimer.
I know like you are not alone in that. Like I've heard other people say that.
I swear that's why some people like listen to like crime podcasts and stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
Like weirdly fascinating and also like I'm not in danger.
Give a big recommendation for Mexican Gothic. I almost did not come to the chat tonight so I could finish it. Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia.
Okay, you have convinced me. The thing about weird mushrooms or whatever. I'm like, I am in. All the way.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Someone asked in the chat what the bookbinding TikToker is. I'm really sorry. I'm like going through everybody, but I don't know what her username is. I'm just
maybe just look up bookbinding and TikTok. On
the
Google.
hashtags will probably be on there.
Okay, Raycelyn says I love horror movies and have general anxiety, so I get it too. Yay! Okay, so not just me. I'm not just a whack job.
For me, for my mental health, the biggest thing is consistency. And so, like I mentioned, having those nights where it's like no work hours. I can write if I want to, but I don't have to. Like I can play video games. I can read a book. I can just sit and think. Like that's really important for me. And I definitely notice I'm more on edge when I work through that or whatever, rather than just taking that time to just decompress at the end of each day.
I like make something, whether it be like, oh, I'm going to hang out with friends or I'm gonna bake cupcakes. Like I just like make it a thing that I can get excited about. So, like on an hourly basis, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go get myself a cup of tea. But on like a weekly basis or like every couple days, I'll be like, all right, well, what's something I can get excited about? Like, and it could even be like, oh, I'm gonna set some time aside to read. And that's great. Or, on Saturday, I'm going to go to a socially distanced friend barbecue and, like do that. So even if I'm feeling really down on like a Tuesday, I'm like, well, I have something to look forward to on Saturday, what have you.
I really like that.
That's huge, actually. Like, I think it really depends what your mental health struggles are. I don't have depression, but I know friends that do. I do not wish that on anyone. I am so sorry, but I know friends that do and say that the same thing, that like Zoom is saving their life right now type thing, because they can check in with their friends and like, and I do notice like when I have these chats with the word nerds, for sure, because Vanessa asked if the fellow word nerds refill my cup. Absolutely, yes. I will notice that when I get off a chat, I am like talkative and bubbly and happy versus like maybe I've been grumpy, may have been like a little bit of a shut-in today. So yeah, I don't know. I definitely feel that way for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Same.
Friends is huge.
Yay, friendship.
Recommend.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Even if you are someone being very, very careful and don't even want to do like the social distance barbecues, like Rachel mentioned, like definitely jump on a Zoom with a glass of wine. It's almost, I mean, it's not as good, but it's close enough.
Yeah. Or like get outside if you can. And I know it's like very scary because people are like, I don't want to go outside during pandemic, which like fair. But if you gesundheit. If you have even if you wear a face mask, even if you I don't know, just like put on some running shoes and like go for a walk. Just finding like, especially I know like recently, just because I've been at home so often, I find that that's where I like really go down of like I'm just in the same place all the time and just getting out and like seeing something different that doesn't put you in danger, because it's like, oh, if I go to the mall, if I go to the Starbucks, if I go to a friend's house, like that's maybe I don't know if that's safe, but I can go for a walk around my neighborhood and it's not that bad. And if I see anybody, we're like, do the thing, and then it's fine. So
I was really enjoying going for walks at the beginning of the pandemic, but now it's like 100 degrees here.
Oh,
and I don't want to leave my house.
Yeah, sorry, I'm in Canada and it's like really nice out right now. So
we have it really good here.
I mean, you get a lot actually. Okay, so because we had the really, really hot last 2 weeks, and it is 111% hot apparently.
No,
Ew.
Whoa, no.
But it's right in the last week.
Do not recommend.
Yeah, gross.
It's like in I guess Celsius, because Canadians. I think today is like 23, which I believe is like high 70s, low 80s. I think.
Beautiful.
So yeah, it's like nice and sunny and like breezy, and yeah, I'm enjoying this right now, even though it rained yesterday.
And you get a breeze with it too. Nice.
Cool. Yeah, that's really great for you.
we just get like 90% humidity with ours.
Sounds gross.
Gross. No, thank you.
So glad I'm not there.
I have to give a shout out to Raislin here, because he's saying like clinical depression in addition to anxiety in this pandemic is a weird mix of things that are easier for me to take and things I appreciate more now. It's so funny because I was literally discussing this with someone the other day and I was like, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that because pandemic. And they were like, you like this part of it, don't you? Like, you don't have to go see this person. You don't have to go there. You're ordering groceries online. And I'm like, yeah, it's an anxiety thing, man. Like, before all this hit the fan, it was like, oh, I have to go grocery shopping. Now I have like an excuse, right? I don't have to go see people. And when I do see people, no one gets in my face anymore. Like, no one stands too close. Like, so there are parts of this that feel weird. And then you feel like weirdly guilty because you're like, I shouldn't be enjoying this. But like, I'm a
word nerd all work together thing. It was a bit of that. It's like, this is a nice bonus to this terrible thing.
Yeah. Well, it's like now if you see anybody, you are like going out of your way to see that person. So it's like I only see people I like now, and like that's really nice.
Yeah, yeah. It's been it's definitely been like just family type of thing lately for me because my friends are very paranoid. But yeah, I'll see them on Zoom. That's fine.
My friends and I get together every 2 weeks. So.
See, I like the idea of a social distance barbecue, but my friends are very paranoid.
Oh, okay.
So, and I respect that. I'm like, if you don't feel comfortable, that's fine. We'll just do a Zoom. It's cool. So, yeah, everyone has different comfort levels, I think. So, do you guys want to move?
Me and Emma and stay inside.
Well, it's not really hot out here, so
it's really hot and really pandemic-y here.
Yeah, Florida.
Yeah, it's extremely pandemic-y over where you are. Maybe you don't.
Yes, that's a whole yikes. So terrifying. So on that pleasant note, do we want to move to something which is one of my favorite parts? And I did give the word nerds homework before we jumped on this chat. I said, what are your wildest dreams / goals? I'm not really going to call them goals because again, I'm going to say like whatever you want to do in your life, like in your wildest dreams, no limitations. So I asked them to think of 3 of their wildest dream type goals and to be prepared to share them. So I'm going to share mine first. So I have like a little bit more of a sensible goal, but at the same time, I still feel like this is like a little bit of a dream because it's very, very rare. I want one of my books to earn out in the next few years. That doesn't sound like a crazy goal, but it kind of is a little bit, especially with how things are going lately. The pandemic is not good for book sales. But my like big giant wild goals are having a book go to auction. So that's always been one of my big dreams. If you don't know what that is, if you're not familiar with traditional publishing, it's basically when publishers fight tooth and nail over your book. No, I'm joking. It's very civilized. They just, basically it's an auction. So they put in offers on your book, and whoever bids highest gets your book, which usually results in like, it's splashy, it's big, it's expensive, and it's a huge dream. So B is I want to rent an Airbnb with the word nerds and do a writer's room.
Yeah.
Legit, just be able to do that somehow later when we're out of pandemic times. And then B is have a movie or TV show made out of one of my books, which is just like the most cliche dream of all time. But it's still like a really, really big deal. It's something that is not a goal. It's a dream because you have zero control over that. I guess you could, like Kelly said earlier, like take up script writing or get a script agent and then like move towards that. But for me, it's still kind of like a pie in the sky dream. Bryony was optioned, so that's not like crazy. What's that?
I forgot.
Oh, yeah. So did I, weirdly enough, till I wrote that down. And I was like, oh, yeah. But it's the shopping option. So it's not like there's not a director behind it specifically. But that's still one of my crazy big dreams. And I actually I have to show this off because this is where I really, really geek out. I don't know if you guys can see this really well, but it's in the back of my passion planner. It's like my little wildest dreams giant goal chart. So I just put that in the middle, and like each one is a different color. And it's real crazy, and I'm still adding to it. Like every time, I'm sure tonight I will add to it because and Griswold, so I feel like Erin peeked into my head with her first and last dreams. Those are big dreams for me too. Yay. Yeah. If you guys have big dreams like this, literally anything, share them in the chat. We love hearing about them. We love reading them. We'll read them out.
You too, Helen. We see you.
Yeah. See you there. Yeah, definitely put them down. We'll read them out and give each other inspiration. So who's next?
Let's go to Erin's. It's funny because like for one of hers, her like have something optioned. My dream felt dreaming smaller because I would just like my dream big was working any writer's room on a TV show would be so cool. So I felt like, oh, am I not dreaming big enough? But then on the flip side, of like word nerd's dream, I feel like, oh, that's totally attainable. That's not even on the list. We're doing that.
Yeah.
And then my other one in my like dreaming medium, which is what I call realistic goals. Figure out what I want to do when I grow up because I don't know, and I feel like I can't figure out my other big dream till I really know that. And then my other one would be actually finishing my like to-do list Neopet game thing because it's something I'm thinking about for a while.
It's gonna be so cool.
Yes, please.
Let's see. One big dream of mine is to actually like fully finish and write and query a book, which is like that's a medium dream I think right now. And then obviously meet up with the word nerds at some point. I want to do it so bad. And then I really want to live abroad for at least a year. I would like to live somewhere else for at least a year, hopefully in like a publishing type of job. But that's like I really want to go because I've lived places for shorter amounts of time, which has been really cool from an old job that I had. But now I'm like, I would like to like live somewhere for longer than like 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the whole TV show and movie thing. I specifically would love to have like an HBO series. I just feel like they always are like have like good budgets and they're like good quality. So specifically that would be like ideal, I feel like. Also really big dream, I would love to go on like an international book tour.
Ooh,
Mostly
hell
because I want someone else to pay for me to travel internationally.
Yeah.
So that would be amazing. And also like I'd just love to like create a world that like people like want to live in.
Hell yeah.
Like what are the kind of world where people like talk about like
yes,
people create like their own characters if they like lived there, you know, and
fiction.
like, want to like, immerse themselves in that world.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
I think it'd be like a goal, which is like again, it's like goal adjacent, but to write something that when I looked back at it, I was really proud of it. I know that's kind of like that's what you're gonna do if you write a book where you're like, yeah, like I like this book enough to put it out there. But of course, every time, you know, it's going to be a big thing of like, oh, you look back at your old work and you're like, oh God, what was that? You know, I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah, but like just having because I sometimes see other people's worlds and I'm like, damn, that's really cool. So like, I wish that I could, like, a goal of mine is just to have that, to be like, yeah, I wrote a banging world. It's really weird and it's really dope, and just like to have that, I think would be great. I'm like part way there. I'm like, yeah, I like this part of the world. That's cool. This other part needs some work, but like we'll get there.
Yeah, I wrote mine down so I wouldn't forget them. I started with what I realized was much smaller, and so then I had to up some of them. So the first one is a job with benefits because I've been self-employed my entire adult life, and I just want a job that like contributes to a retirement fund and like
you can take vacation and get paid.
Vacation. Yeah, like I know that seems so bare minimum, but it also seems like it would be really, really life-changing for me to have that. So that's on my dreams list. Next is a writer's retreat where the writers can hang out and we don't have to go to like any events or anything. We can just like hang out and write and chill.
Helen wants to put us in a castle, so
I saw that.
Yes.
Really cheap in some European countries. It's like pretty cheap to just rent a castle. I remember there were some authors who rented one in like France or something. And they were like, they were getting like hotel rooms. Yeah. For a bunch of them.
Rude. That needs to
I think
be
we should just pool our money and buy a castle because they're pretty cheap over there.
I want to live abroad for a year.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
I'm voting
I
Scotland.
Like we set realistic goals. My dreams are coming true. We want to write a retreat. It's all coming together.
Yeah.
Megan, what was your third one?
Oh, my third one started as I want a really pretty illustrated cover, and then I was like, dream bigger. This is wildest dream. So I want a really, really pretty illustrated cover that they print on one of those giant banners at BookCon.
Yes.
Oh,
God. I remember one of the first things I asked Erin Bowman, isn't that her name? Scorpion Rule. Yeah.
No,
the first
Erin Bow.
Bow, thank you. There's a Bowman and a bow, and it's very confusing. The first time I met her, I asked her, how did it feel when you saw Scorpion Rule on that giant banner at BEA? Like, was it a holy crap, I've made it moment? And she's like, it was pretty surreal. Like, I was like, I cannot imagine. Yeah, I think the first time I saw that became like a huge dream of mine as well. Like, I have so many other like weird little things that I don't think about until someone mentions it, like having someone tattoo a quote of mine on them.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, I always wonder how authors
write a sentence that like people like tattoo on themselves and make art of, and like
I wonder how authors feel about that, because it's like I think some of us have fandom related tattoos and have plans to get fandom related tattoos, but like I wonder how that would feel as an author to have your words like permanently on someone else.
Used to like I have 2 Neil Gaiman quotes on me, and I didn't feel the need to like tweet that at him because he gets it all the time.
Yeah.
Like I think he's so used to it. Same with V.E. Schwab, right?
Yeah.
But
Well, like I have a V.E. Schwab tattoo, and like, but yeah, I was just like, oh, it's so cool.
Very
Become
cool.
best friends with V.E. Schwab. That's one of my wildest dreams goals.
Seriously, it's so cool.
I will make sure you all get to be friends with her as well.
Yes.
Yes,
V.E.
okay, great,
Schwab
thanks, yeah.
is on your goal list. Your actionable steps are show up at her house.
I live somewhere in Edinburgh. I was close last summer.
I'm not sure this is how we get her to be
I don't think so.
That's not going in your day planner? Okay.
you want. You want to be friends?
Another really
have red hair, like
Another really good one someone said up here. Where did it go? Oh, Raceland said, have an in-ground hot tub and a bar nearby. Sounds great. Be completely alone. Also sounds great. Write masterpieces where I have a decent fandom, enough to produce fan art and fiction, but not enough so I am J.K. Rowling. And I have to say, I agree with all of it up until J.K. Rowling, because get the F out of my way. I want to be more famous than her without the transphobia.
yes, yeah. We have a better witch book with no transphobia by author Erin Latimer right here.
Thank you. Zero transphobia here, honestly. But I really love the idea of fan art. That has definitely like always been a goal of mine. And like I had a few of those things happen with like Wattpad stuff, which is already really cool. But I would definitely love to have like a kind of like more, I don't know, that sounds weird, but like an organic experience where somebody I don't know from Wattpad has bought it off the shelf and is drawing fan art. And I'm like, that would be so cool. Like the amount of Gideon the Ninth fan art that is out there, that's the type of stuff I think would be so cool. I'm reading all of these goals.
There's so many great ones.
Yeah.
Griswold mentioned I'd love to have a Comic-Con panel for my book filled with people who want to hear me talk about my book. Yes.
Honestly, one of the things about 2020 that has bummed me out so much was one of my dreams as well. And I had a Emerald City Comic-Con spot lined up.
Ooh.
And then it got real canceled.
Canceled.
Yeah. So depression. But anyways.
I thought of another more realistic kind of like big one-day goal I have, which is I want to retell like a myth or a fairy tale or something.
Ooh,
and it always feels like such a big thing because it's like you have to have like the right twist on it and like the right idea for it because so many have been done before. So I'd love to have a good idea for that.
Yes. Same. Yeah, I think this is like a more like artsy fartsy type of thing, but I would love to have a project that's like what Emma said, which is just like completely engrossing to people, like they want to be a part of that world, and also completely engrossing to me, if that makes sense. Like to have a project that I would be like almost like borderline obsessed with and just like really, really excited to write. Like I always hear about authors that finish their third book or whatever and then they cry and they're like, I'm going to miss the characters. And I'm like, I want that. I've never had that. Like, I don't feel like I've ever like fallen into a world enough that they feel like 100% real people to me. Like with Witches of Ash and Ruin, it got close to that because I spent so much time writing that book, but I don't think I've got quite to the point where it feels like I'm, losing a loved one, essentially, like, which is weird and neurotic, but I kind of want to experience that.
Yeah. To go along with the immersive world, like I want like one of those worlds where I end up writing like multiple series set in the same world, like Tamara style or something, because it's just like so rich and there's so much to tell.
Totally. That would definitely be one of my dreams as well, is to like basically write a giant fantasy series as well. Definitely goals.
I'm so intimidated by the idea of that.
No.
Yeah.
Like anything more than like 4 books, I'm like, how?
Yeah, Kyra and I were trilogy, and I was like, never again. This is going to be the only trilogy I ever write. It was so hard.
I would just worry about like planning the whole thing and then not being able to sell the next books. which is like
It's like a double-edged sword because you're like, what if I plan the whole thing and don't get to sell it? But then it's like, what if I sell it and I didn't plan the whole thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Self-publishing.
What? We still haven't convinced you to finish
Self-publishing.
Yeah.
Helen said the Latimerverse.
Nice. I like it. Helen is telling us there's a few in Scotland you can rent out with a ton of space. Works out to like 50 people a night. She is planning this already.
Wonderful. I can get a job being the ghost in one of the turrets of like a tourist attraction. I have the red hair, the pale skin. I'll just grow my hair out. I'll wear a white dress. I'll get hired as a part-time actor.
I love it.
You can apply for a job as a ghost.
Yes. I'm pale enough.
Okay, so I just like opened my little book here. I thought I would share a few more ones that are like the more wild, crazy ones. So I have written down here tour bus with my book on it. I also had like because John Green, John Green had it for Turtles All the Way Down. There was a giant tour bus with his book on it, and Cassandra Clare and maybe Holly Black, I can't remember, had it with their faces on it. And I was like, I don't know if I want my giant face on a bus, but the book, yeah. So that definitely, as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, I need a bus now, clearly. What the heck? So that was definitely one of my like wild out there ones. That's a good question. Would you guys want to be the level of J.K. Rowling, or are you like, no?
Definitely not.
It's only me. What's the matter with me?
No, you want.
Yeah, I feel like there are adjacent levels. Like, I wouldn't mind being like Neil Gaiman big, but there's like a level of intensity surrounding J.K. Rowling's fame that I don't want.
I would probably be like, yeah, bring it on, and then regret it.
Yeah, I think that's how
like if you got that famous right now, and the fact that people would go back and watch all of our past videos because you're that famous. I don't even like that. I don't know, we're just adjacent famous to you.
All our videos.
That's true. Then they'd be like, Aaron said this terrible thing in video 525.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrible, but I'm sure I said something stupid. So
yeah,
that's true.
I'm sure I gave really dubious writing advice when we first started the channel. So
that's true. So guys, do not go back and look at very
old. Just know I don't follow any of those tips anymore.
I don't take my own advice anymore.
If it works for you, then like definitely still use it. But I think I was definitely a lot more prescriptive about writing advice because I thought, well, if you do ABC, then you get DEM.
I probably was too. And I was probably saying things that I don't even do anymore, like work on multiple projects. It's fine. Like, not for me. I also had things like I love the idea of what Maggie Stiefvater does. And like the seminar that I was going to go to before Plague Times hit, she basically, it's like what she does on the side to make a little bit more money is essentially like rents out a giant space and has a seminar starring her for like 3 days, and people pay money to go see her essentially and like stay with her. And so I love the idea of that being like a side gig essentially for you. But I think I said this in one of my old videos, like right now I could still technically do it, but no one would show up and it would just be me drinking wine by myself.
Alternately, it could become like a Stephen King horror novel where an obsessed fan shows up.
Yeah, I want to be like a guest at the Beth Revis one that they do, the writers workshops they do. That would be really fun.
I have always wanted to go to one, and I said, I was signed up for the Maggie Stiefvater one, and then, thanks again.
Being famous enough that all of those other authors that we talked about would respond to me if I spoke to them, like send them a message.
And then I would be like, the gods have smiled upon me.
Yeah.
It's only happened a couple times, but like if I've replied to something that someone's tweeted and then they like the comment, or they like comment like, oh, thank you, whatever. I'm like, oh, Senpai noticed me. Like,
in our Word Nerd Slack, we always have like, oh, so and so noticed me. It's great.
Yeah.
It's always exciting.
It's so funny because by Ellie M said you could be a mentor on a writing retreat. They have one that goes on in Ireland, and it's so funny because I was just looking at my like literally on my wildest dreams list is giant writers retreat in Ireland. So maybe I'll have to look into that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh yeah, also definitely have down like that red carpet moment. I would obsessively watch those like clips where J.K. Rowling was like going to the red carpet premiere of the Harry Potter movies, and like she would come out of the limo and people would like scream. I think there's a part where can you like even fathom that? And then there's a
No.
part
Sounds like my
I can. I don't.
I know. I'm like, no, thank you.
I would be like,
I
yes,
had dreams about that.
now march with me. We're marching against the White House. And they would.
Yes, use your powers for good, Aaron.
Yeah,
Getting
those
to
are
like be on a red carpet like quietly while like other
that'd be
people
cool.
are getting a lot of recognition, and I just happen to have written the source material. That would be fun, like getting to buy a really pretty dress and stuff.
working on the red carpet.
Yeah, just like lurking behind some like very good looking actor and just being like, I am here too.
You're hiding behind Brad Pitt. Hello. Clearly, Brad Pitt would be in your movie.
He's playing the grandpa at that point.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I've cast him in your future movie. So I also have a few like, I mean, I wouldn't say these are wildest like own your own helicopter type of dreams, but like win a Newbery Award, that type of thing. Like there are a few awards that would be like really
Like a Stoker award would be really nice.
That'd be real nice.
That is on my list of dream awards for sure.
Yes, definitely. Vanessa also wants to be more famous than J.K. Rowling. Yeah.
Use your powers for good, kids.
Them in a revolution. Helen says, as someone who wants marathon all of the Word Nerd content, it's all good advice, just not necessarily for everyone. True. Also, don't marathon it all at once. Take breaks.
There's like 2,000 videos. Just don't. Not anymore.
All right. So we're almost coming up on 6 here. Do you want to wrap up with a few more thoughts? Does anyone else have any more big goals or dreams or even little ones? Medium dreams, as Kelly calls it. Anybody?
If you want to own a house, that'd be nice.
Well, hopefully
see reaction videos to our old videos.
We have talked about doing that.
Oh, maybe we should. That'd be fun.
For like the anniversary of the channel.
it was just me being like, oh no, what happened to my hair? Oh no, why?
Oh God, my eyebrows.
Yeah.
Why did I say that?
Make enough money from books and writing to pay off student debt. Yes.
Yeah.
Just like the idea of like getting an advance check is still very like wildest dream to me. Like the idea that someone would be like, here is a sum that's probably not very much, but here it is for your book.
Really?
For some words you made up.
Yeah.
You just made up.
Yeah. I always also like the idea of like seeing a certain writer and being like, yeah, I would like to have something like their career. And B.E. Schwab is definitely one. And Neil Gaiman actually as well. Because I feel like they have like a dedicated fandom, but like they could go out grocery shopping without getting mobbed. You know, like, that seems pretty good.
Kind of a different final note, but anyone who was here and shared your goals with us, write them down, and I'm sure we'll do something again like this in 2021 or at the beginning, end of this year, beginning of next year. We can kind of see where we are. I don't remember who the comment was from earlier about how I don't seem very excited for 2021. I think at this point it feels like 3 lifetimes away.
Yeah.
Like, the pace this year has gone. It's just like an abstract concept at this point. But at some point we will get there. So it'd be great to see kind of what your goals were now. Check back in, see how we're all doing.
I think there's also like a little bit of nervousness about 2021. I know I'm feeling that with all the talk of a second wave, etc. And like, what's the world going to look like in 2021?
Yeah.
So that's more than understandable if you're like not sure, if you're nervous, if you're like, I don't know if I should even bother setting goals because so yeah, I mean, we get it. be gentle
We
on
love them
yourself.
either way.
Yes, exactly. All right.
Couple side announcements. I'm going to put that link to Tamara's write-in, which is going on right now, in the discussion section. Also, next weekend, Tamara Woods and like Cashay Warren and Carol Brown and Dana Gallin, I believe, are throwing a virtual writing retreat. It's going to be really cool, so hopefully you guys will tune in. If you look at our Word Nerds Twitter account, we've tweeted about it some, but definitely put that on your calendars if you're looking for some writing inspiration. I know I'm going to be on the plotting panel, and I think Rachel's going to be too.
Oh, yes.
Yes, me and Rachel are going to be on the plotting panel, so we'd love to see you there.
Yeah, you wanted a plotting party? Next weekend. Hey.
So definitely check that out, and I've put that link in the discussion section now, so it should show up soon.
Perfect. Well, thank you for everybody that came and commented, and like Megan mentioned, write down your goals. I'm sure we will be back here 2021 or just before that to kind of check in. So please like and subscribe, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.